Lesson 36. Washington, D.C.
Rush hour.
Listen.
Lou Caruso recognizes talent, and that's why he's always taken a personal interest in Dan Fisher, who used to work for Big Records. Lou's in London at the moment and has fitted a morning at Moon Discs into his busy schedule. He stopped for a chat with Dan.
Hi, Dan. Long time no see.
Hello, Mr. Caruso. It's great to see you again.
I was in your hometown last week, Dan. You come from Washington, don't you?
That's right. How was your trip?
Well, you won't believe this, but it was my first ever visit to Washington. And oh boy, I got so lost.
You did? That's too bad. What happened?
I'd had a late lunch at Dominique's.
Yeah, I know. On Pennsylvania Avenue?
Right. And I had to meet a friend in his office near Lincoln Park at 5 o'clock.
But that's right the other side of the city, in the rush hour. Did you go by subway?
No, I decided to drive. I looked at my map and guessed that the quickest way of getting there was to go straight down Pennsylvania Avenue and turn into Constitution Avenue.
What happened?
It was unbelievable. I've never seen such traffic jams in my life. I had to wait 10 minutes to get through just one set of traffic signals.
So what did you do?
I suppose it was crazy, but I decided to turn off the main streets and find my way around the back streets.
That can't have been easy.
It was impossible. There were so many one-way streets and no left turn signs. I must have driven past the Supreme Court at least 3 times.
I guess it's a pretty confusing city.
It certainly is. Finally, I parked the car on a parking meter and got a cab.
You were lucky to find a meter.
And the cab driver looked at me as if I was an idiot and said, "Lincoln Park? You're almost there, buddy. Just go round the corner and take the first turning on the right. You'll see it in front of you."
And did you find it all right?
Yes. But when I got back to my car a few hours later, the police had taken it off to the precinct headquarters. The meter was for 20 minutes only. It cost me a fortune to get it back.
That was terrible. I guess you won't be going back to Washington in a hurry.
Oh, sure I will. Only next time, I want you to come with me and show me around.
Hey, that's a great idea. Washington's a marvelous place once you get to know it.
Listen and repeat.
When we were in Washington, we visited the White House. We'd never seen it before.
Can you tell me how I get to the White House?
Go down the steps, past that mailbox, round the corner, past the traffic lights, and along Constitution Avenue. It's about 2 blocks down.
We walked all the way.
We drove all night without stopping. We got lost. We stopped to ask for directions.
Excuse me, what's the quickest way of getting onto the main road?
Turn off at the road sign, before the pedestrian crossing, after the call box, after the letterbox. Drive under the bridge, past the bus stop, over the railway line, and up the hill.
Keep going for a couple of kilometres. Then take the first turning on the left and the second turning on the right. Thanks a lot.
We parked the car and walked the rest of the way.
Pronunciation.
Listen to the intonation used when you want someone to repeat something you haven't heard or haven't understood.
Can you direct me to the post office?
Sorry?
I'm looking for South Road.
Pardon?
Turn off at the road sign.
Where?
It's about 12 miles from here.
How many miles?
You're not listening to me.
What was that?
And now repeat.
Sorry? Pardon?
Where? How many miles? What was that?
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Pardon?
Practice 1. Listen and speak.
First, listen to Lou Caruso asking the way to the White House.
Excuse me.
Yes, can I help you?
Can you tell me how I get to the White House?
Yes, it's over there, on the other side of the ellipse.
What's the quickest way of getting there?
You haven't got a car? Take a bus or a cab.
Now you ask the way to the White House.
Excuse me.
Yes, can I help you?
Can you tell me how I get to the White House?
Yes, it's over there, on the other side of the ellipse.
What's the quickest way of getting there?
You haven't got a car? Take a bus or a cab.
Now ask the way to the Lincoln Memorial.
Excuse me.
Yes, can I help you?
Can you tell me how I get to the Lincoln Memorial?
Sure. It's at the end of the reflecting pool.
What's the quickest way of getting there?
You could take a cab, but it's a lovely walk through the Constitution Gardens.
Now ask the way to the Capitol.
Excuse me.
Yes, can I help you?
Can you tell me how I get to the Capitol?
Of course. It's over there, at the other end of the mall.
What's the quickest way of getting there?
Why don't you take the subway? Have a good time.
Practice 2. Listen and speak.
First, listen to Lou Caruso talking about his first visit to Washington.
What did you do in Washington?
I visited the Washington Monument.
What route did you take?
I drove along 17th Street.
Where did you leave your car?
I parked it on Constitution Avenue and walked the rest of the way.
Now you say how you got to the Washington Monument.
So what did you do in Washington?
I visited the Washington Monument.
What route did you take?
I drove along 17th Street.
Where did you leave your car?
I parked it on Constitution Avenue and walked the rest of the way.
What else did you do?
I visited the tidal basin.
It's very pretty at this time of the year. What route did you take?
I drove along 14th Street.
Where did you leave your car?
I parked it near the Washington Monument and walked the rest of the way.
What else did you see?
I visited the National Gallery of Art.
What route did you take?
I drove along the mall.
Where did you leave your car?
I parked it on 12th Street and walked the rest of the way.
You saw quite a lot of Washington, didn't you? I hope you enjoyed it.
Practice 3. Listen and write.
Listen to these people talking about the White House.
Oh, wow, what a wonderful view.
Just look at those gardens.
You're looking at the North Portico, which is perhaps the view of the White House that most people know. The North Portico leads into the main building.
That's the oldest part, isn't it?
That's right. It was built around 1816. The original building was burnt down by the British during the War of 1812. After it was rebuilt, the North and South porticos were added in the 1820s.
Is the president's office in the main building?
No. See that building over on the far right?
Yeah.
Well, that's the executive wing, where the White House staff work. Next to that is the president's office, or the Oval Room.
Where do the president and his family actually live?
In the main building on the second floor. But of course that part of the White House is closed to the public.
Oh.
I've heard that the president has his own movie theater. Where is it?
It's that long, low section on the left of the main building.
That's a movie theater?
Gee, it must be pretty big. And what's that building next to it on the far left?
That's the East Wing, which was rebuilt by President Franklin D. Roosevelt in the 1930s. That's where the president's military advisors work. But it also contains a heated swimming pool.
Oh, yeah. I seen pictures of President Roosevelt in that pool.
Yeah?
What's that section on the right of the main building?
That's the press rooms where the president gives his press conferences.
How much land is there around the buildings?
18 acres of really beautiful gardens. But the best part is right behind the main building. It's called the President's Park. It contains many trees and flowers planted by earlier presidents.
Right. I believe there are some fantastic magnolia trees which President Jackson planted.
Really?
Oh, I'd love to see those. Wouldn't you, honey?
Well, I most certainly would.
Okay, now, if you folks would like to come this way, we can start our tour of the inside of the main building.